Well, hello there. Thank you for tuning in to the Redesign virtual conference and for selecting family, business, and community engagement. I'm really excited today to bring our friend Jane Groff to you. She's with the Kansas Parent Information Resource Center, and she has some wise advice and great tips for you all for how to strengthen your family engagement. So, Jane, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tammy, for the invitation. I appreciate that. And I do love talking about the redesign principles and in particular, the family, business, and community partnership principle. So whether you're new to redesign or you're thinking about redesigning or you've been redesigning for a while, I think that these 10 slides will give you something to think about, help you plan about how to really create these partnerships that are necessary, okay? So those are Kansas sunflowers, by the way, and I'm sitting in that field of them. Not really, but those are Kansas sunflowers. So as Tammy said, my name is Jane Roth, and I am the Executive Director of the Kansas Parent Information Resource Center, KPIRC, because that's a mouthful. We are a TASN project, a Technical Assistance Systems Network project, that is part of the Kansas State Department of Education. So our KPIRC work is focused on family engagement, family, business, community partnerships, that work. So as you know, or you've heard once or thrice or a million times, there are these 4 redesign principles. And I think they are fabulous principles, and I think they are foundational to this work of redesign. And sometimes, as you might think, that this family, business, community partnership principle is my favorite, I have to kind of say that it is. But you know what? Today I want to equally emphasize the student success skills, the personalized learning, and the real-world application. Because no matter which of these principles you have chosen, family engagement should be a part of any of these goals. And I'll explain that as we move forward a little bit in just a second here. But as you know, student success skills are social emotional learning. Personalized learning is student have that personalized learning and they can choose their time, place, pace, and path. The real world application being project-based learning, and then the partnerships, family, business, community partnership. We'll emphasize that word partnership. So if you or your school is thinking about or has already chosen student success skills as a goal, you've said, yep, we want to focus on social emotional learning. I think that's wonderful. I think it's awesome. And I know that you've had many good discussions about social emotional learning. And I would just add to you, or I would just ask you to think about, is family engagement part of your strategies or your skills under these student success skills? Are you going to inform families what is social emotional learning? Do they even understand it? Do they need some more information? What can they put on their refrigerator at home that will help them understand what you're working on in this area at school? And this is just a real neat toolkit. It's a guide how to engage families in social emotional learning. It's by move.org. It's just a fun toolkit with practical steps on engaging families in social emotional learning. Or you might have chosen personalized learning as a goal in your redesign. And if so, congrats, great. And then I would do the same thing. I would say, how are families, where is your family engagement strategy under personalized learning? Do they understand the term? We need to explain what is personalized learning, that terminology. And this is a toolkit, just real simple. They're short and sweet from Education Elements. And I love it because it's real exact. It's terminology, tools, and tips for success for families and stakeholders in this area of personalized learning. So you may choose that as a goal, and if you do, hooray. But where is your family engagement component? Where are they getting tips? Where are they getting the terms that we're using about personalized learning? So just add that. Add the family engagement component to your personalized learning goal. Then you may have chosen project-based learning or real-world application. And I think project-based learning is just such a good format to engage families. This is just a sample of an article that you might read about getting resources to parents on project-based learning. I honestly think not only is it a fun way to learn, but it's the best way to engage families from the kickoff of the project, that families are informed of the project, why it was chosen, what will happen, how they'll be part of the project, up to the culmination of students sharing with the families what they've learned, how they've learned it. So project-based learning, I get excited about because that is an open door to engaging families in their children's learning. But of course, as we talked about, that fourth principle, one of my favorites, the family school community partnership principle, and we focused on that word partnership. I really like this resource because it looks at 4 different types of partnership schools. From the fortress school, kind of locked up, you do your thing, we do our thing, to the come if we call you school. You do your thing, we'll call you if we need you. The open door school begins to open up, and when we need you, we'll ask you, but we're opening up a little bit more. And then there's that partnership school where families and communities have something both to offer. And I love this definition. We do whatever it takes to work closely together. So whether you individually or as a group want to use this resource to examine your relationships, our families linked to learning, how do you address differences? How do you let families be advocates? And how equal are you in sharing power? It's just a good discussion piece as you set your goals to create partnerships with families, business, and community. It creates a lot of good discussion because I know you want to become this partnership school. I know you do. But it's fun to see where you identify yourself, which one of these you think you are right now, and what you can grow in. So I think it's a fun resource to use. Now, we talked about that word partnership, and very briefly here, we're going to look at the 5 A's, because you can't just say, I want partnerships, I'm going to build them. If we do that, we generally are looking right here at action. And we have missed something before that. Our approach, our attitude, and our atmosphere. Then we get to action, and then we have student success. So let's look at these 5 A's that build pathways to partnership. So the approach and the attitude and the atmosphere, these are the prerequisite conditions. You've got to think about these and talk about these and plan these, because that's where our actions come from. If we jump straight to partnerships, we're going to think of just a lot of things to do. Let's do this, and let's do that, and let's do this. But those actions, if we have not talked about these 3 A's, approach, attitude, and atmosphere, those actions can be pretty empty, or we can miss some very valuable pieces. So our approach is, do we approach families with an understanding that they have shared responsibilities for learning? And in redesign, are we thinking of families and saying, what can they share with us about redesign? What approach do we want to have with families so that they understand why we're redesigning, what we're thinking about doing in redesign, and getting their feedback on this redesign approach. And the second A, attitudes. What's the values and perceptions that we hold about family-school relationships? Are they strength-based? Do we really look at families' strengths when we think about them? What is our attitude about them? Do we welcome them and their style of being a family? As we know, there are many, many varieties of families. So what's our attitude? We've got to take time to think about our values and perceptions about families because they feel them, they hear them, they see them. Whoops, then our atmosphere. And the atmosphere, whether you are on-site, remote, hybrid learning, the atmosphere is there. You're getting an atmosphere from me right now. Yeah, we're remote, but you're feeling from me something. And I hope it's excitement for the topic. I hope it's a welcoming approach, as well as interesting information. But we create an atmosphere that our families feel. And we want our families to feel like they belong to the school and the school belongs to them. So how do we do that? With smiles on our faces, knowing names, planning out strategies. It doesn't just happen. We have to plan for these 3 A's as we do anything else. Then we get to the actions. And these actions can be creating two-way homeschool communication. In redesign, there's new things happening, innovation. You're innovating. So let's be sure that the homeschool connection is flowing back and forth, that there is communication over this exciting new work of redesign. Let's foster family engagement in learning both at home and at school. And like I said earlier, project-based learning is a great way to think, how can we use families in this project? Can we interview them? How can we interview them? How can they be part of this learning? Try to pull together home as much as you can. And then let's establish continuities between home and school. If we have some school motto like be respectful, be kind, be this or that, do the families know that? Make that a continuity between home and school so it can be on their fridge so that families at home can say, that was very respectful of your brother. I saw that. I appreciate that. Let's give families the language we're using at school. And then let's encourage joint decision-making and problem solving. Wow, does redesign ever fit with that? Let's make these decisions about redesign together. Let's focus group with families. Let's say, this is what we're thinking. We ran into a problem here. What would be your thoughts about solving this problem? So redesign, in my opinion, really opens the door to some joint decision making and problem solving with families. Then we end up with that final A, where we can achieve student success. And I love this little one here, his determination, because we will have some successful student learning experiences and some outcomes. And that's when we have true student success. So thank you for joining in on this little bit of our talk about redesign and engaging families. And you can see my email is on this slide. I'll let you glance at that a second. And then below that is our KPERC website. And on that website, there are many, many resources for you to download for free. So thank you, Tammy.
Well, thank you, Jane. And on that website, at the TASN website for KPERC, you have modules, right? You have modules for schools to be able to go through to learn deeper dives into specific topics on family engagement. So you were really doing asynchronous remote learning before it was cool. So people can go there and take place or participate in those modules and just learn a whole lot more. But you're also always happy to talk to schools. So.
Absolutely. Anytime you want to talk about your redesign plan or just talk about family engagement, you feel free to get hold of me.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jane. We really appreciate you pitching in and helping us with redesign. And to all of you who tuned in, thank you for paying attention to this particular topic. And I hope you select another topic to look at next.
Thank you. Bye-bye.